professor actually, Obadele Bakari Kambong, who is a master linguist and architect of Ebibitumi, the oldest and largest black social education network. He completed a PhD in linguistics at the University of Ghana, and actually he won the Best PhD Thesis Award in Humanities, and served as editor-in-chief of the Ghana Journal of Linguists from 2016 to 2023. His honors include the Marcus Garvey Foundation Award, which he won in 2019, the Provost Publications Award, which he won twice in 2016 and 2024. In terms of research, it spans, well, he can pronounce this word. How do you pronounce this? Sabait Net Kemetil, Studies of Black People, Serial Verb Construction Normalization, and Ebibi Fahudie Black Liberation. That's what it means. He has helped hundreds repatriate to Ghana and continues to build independent black institutions in language, media, and education. In the next 30 minutes, he's going to tell us an interesting story. With a round of applause, let's welcome him.
All right. When I say Abibitumi, I want you to say Abibi Fahundie. Let's try that. Abibitumi. 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 So my colleague here, he says, oh, is it the Abibitumi at Ekwepemampo? I said, yes. He says he has some land right over near Abibitumi headquarters, so that's very interesting. So today I'm going to speak on political economy of African spirituality's material culture, tools of liberation or traps of enslavement. Abibitumi! Black power is what Abibitumi is. Abibi Fahundie, black liberation, as mentioned. For the sake of time, I won't go over the entire abstract, but we'll go into what we're talking about. So the main question that I'm looking at for this presentation is how indigenous is the material culture of the spiritual systems of Abibi4? And we're dealing with the question of political economy. As mentioned, I'm Obimfo Obadele Kamban, also known as Nana Kwame Pebi Dati Aldikaing Bamuchida Mhene Iwa Ekwapem Mampong. Say that 3 times fast. Abibitumi. So we have Nana Amilcar Cabral, and I'll give you a quick quote from him. But particularly in the so-called diaspora, liberation is often the goal of reconnection with our spiritual systems. And before I go further, my mother is in the audience. She's in Okomfo and also a PhD holding psychologist, both at the same time. And what I know about our spiritual systems is due to her. So let's give her a round of applause. Wearing the red, black, and green in the front row. So I'll quote Nana Amilcar Cabral. He says, the exercise of imperialist domination, like all other foreign domination for its own security, requires cultural oppression and the attempt at direct or indirect destruction of the essential elements of the culture of the dominated people. If imperialist domination has a vital need to practice cultural oppression, national liberation is necessarily an act of culture. And again, that's Nana Amilcar Cabral. Abibitumi. 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 For those in the back, there was a woman named Rosa Parks who fought not to have to sit in the back, so I'd ask for you to come down because we're a small group. I'm talking about you in the green, you also in the green. Please come down small. Those wearing suits and ties, please come down small so we can have more of an intimate crowd. Please, if you can also come down small. I want us to be interactive. Those here wearing hijab, if you can also come join us, I'd appreciate that. We want to have a more intimate gathering, right? For those who don't know Rosa Parks, they tried to force her to sit at the back of the bus, and she fought not to have to go all the way to the back, but to stay seated in the front. So you had those who fought for your rights, and we don't want those rights to be given away. Let's continue. Abibitumi. So when many of us think about the spiritual, let me say the religions of the enemies of black people, those include Christianity and Islam. So, they'll say, Jesus loves you, now say it, and they're beating you into submission. But 300 years later, now, oh yeah, I love it, right? If you look at, the religions, there were forced conversions, imperialism, enslavement, and so forth and so on. At the point of a gun, at the point of a sword, you had those who are fighting not to have to pray to the imaginary, white man on a stick. But now many of us spend all of our time every Sunday going to pray to that same imaginary white man. So many of us, especially in the 1960s in, the so-called diaspora, they were like, if we are not white people, why are we praying to imaginary white people? And many started to leave those religions in order to look for liberation. Abibi to me. And here's a quote. It says, how can a slave and master both worship the same God? Then both of them expect their prayers to be answered by the very same God. Baba Omoale and Malcolm X would talk about, the slave master or, lyncher has the noose around the neck and he's praying to the white man. And then the one who's being lynched is also praying to the same white man. Who's going to be listened to you? Abibi to me. Also, black people drop the religion of Christianity because of slavery, but then go convert to Islam, which enslaved them as well. These are some of the head scratchers that we have to deal with here. So again, the background I'm giving you is that a lot of people are leaving these religions and they're looking for liberation. They're looking for something other than praying to a white man on a stick. They're looking for something other than praying to a rock in a desert. They're looking for liberation. And they're trying to do it through interacting with our ancestors, the abosom, and so forth. But I'm going to go into to what degree are we actually able to get the liberation that we're looking for in the first place. Abibi to me. That is the weakest Abibi Fahodi I've ever heard. Abibi to me. Abibi to me. Abibi to me. All right, we're getting there. So we're going to look at the political economy of what is supposed to be the spiritual systems of Abibi4, that's to say black people. Right, so you see, when you're going to interact with your own ancestors, what do you have to bring? You have to bring something from the Dutch, from Holland somewhere, just to interact with your own ancestors. That doesn't sound very much like Abibi to me. Anytime you want to interact with a traditional ruler, what do you have to do? You have to bring bottles of a liquor that is used to kill you. When you see the abosom, sometimes someone is possessed and the abosom are smoking cigarettes. And there's a question, are we actually going towards the liberation that we were looking for in the first place? Or have we gone into other traps of enslavement? These are photographs that I took at my own place, Ekwepi Mampong, at the occasion of Ohum and Ojura festivals a couple of years back. And again, you see the abosom are addicted to nicotine, apparently. And if they're not addicted to nicotine, they're addicted to liquor. This is another one, a carcinogen, Johnson's baby powder, right? And again, you see the abosom are addicted to the baby powder that causes cancer. Johnson & Johnson was just sued for somewhere around the area of $1 billion that they had to pay because it was found that they knew that the baby powder that they were selling to black people specifically was causing cancer. But they didn't shut down the factory. They said, let's just send it to Ghana because we know that those fools, those idiots, they don't know any better and they are not interested in Abibi to me. We continue.